My lords, my ladies, and everybody else not sitting on a cushion. Hi, hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to the first video tutorial on how to search for sources using the Google search engine. Part 1 of this video is going to be a lecture. Part 2 will be explaining how to use the advanced features of the Google search engine. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with part 1. Now, before we go gallivanting around on Google, pulling up who knows what, let's talk about how to determine whether a source that we're looking at is credible or not. Now, while the nature of credibility really leans more toward opinion than anything else, the purpose of this video is to help you determine which sources the majority of people would agree are credible. Some quick examples of credible sources are scholarly journals, medical journals, reports, statistics, governmental statistics, things like that. Basically, documents that have been reviewed by the peers of that particular community, has passed all their little tests that they do, and has been deemed credible by that particular community, whether it's an academic community or a medical community or even just a governmental department. All right, so authority. Who is responsible for the information? What are their credentials? Do they have any credentials? These are very important things to ask when you're trying to determine if something is credible or not. If you're searching on the internet for sources, you can actually just look at the domain name and tell right off how credible a source is likely to be. For instance, .edu websites, those are educational websites. They're usually a good source of information. .gov are government websites, usually good, especially for statistical information. And .org are typically nonprofit organization websites done as a sort of public service. But with .org websites, you have to keep an eye out for agendas and biases because that's where they will start to pop up. Agendas and biases. They're pretty much everywhere. They're all over the place. Which leads us to our next point. Agendas and biases. You want to try to stay away from these. They reduce the credibility of your source. A good source is always objective. When something is objective, it is not influenced by opinion. So that's the difference between objective and subjective. Objective, no opinion. Subjective, very much an opinion. It is subject to someone's opinion. Now, I can't stress this enough. This isn't just an English skill or a public speaking skill. This is like a life skill. I cannot stress this enough. Always question the source, even if the thing or the person or the whatever appears to be legit. Question it. Don't let it slide and just believe it like a dumb little sheep. Don't be a dumb sheep. Even if a source is supportive of your views, put it to the test. Don't just go on believing things because it came from a party that you identify with or someone that you have some amount of respect for. It doesn't matter. People make mistakes. Question the sources. Double check things. Okay, some other types of media. Blogs, television, news, magazines, journals, all that jazz. They're usually geared toward entertainment. And therefore, they post opinion-based information, not just fact-based information. So you have to filter through and find out what's fact-based and what's opinion-based. For this reason, these resources on their own are not considered credible. You can't just cite a blog and be like, well, the blog said it, so it must be true. No, wrong. Dumb sheep. If you find something that seems useful on a blog, you don't have to ditch it immediately. What you need to do is view the sources provided by the blog. And if those sources are good, use those sources. You still can't use the blog, but the blog helped lead you to a good source. If they didn't provide a source, I'm sorry, you have to ditch it. It's gone. Okay, the last thing we need to talk about really quickly is the time. Is the date of the information clear? A date can prove or disprove a source's relevance. If it's from like 50 years ago and you're trying to prove something about 2012, it may not help you out that much. If you're trying to prove something that happened between 50 years ago and 2012, then it's a great starting point for you. But if you pull a population from, 1987 and use it in an argument that's based on 2011, 2012, then it's invalid. It's totally invalid. So always check the date. And Google has options to limit how old your search results can be. But even with those search tools, always check the date on the actual document because something could have conducted in 1988 and not posted on the internet until 2001. And so you might be doing a survey where 2001 is a great year, but the experiment was conducted in 1988. So that's no longer useful. So always check the date on the actual document.